You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
Yeah.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez.
Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis. Now streaming on Freevee.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
And welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rick Robinson. She's Jen Homestead. You're listening to Jen and Rick live on KLRradio.com. We normally do this thing every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, till we run out of juice. Sometimes 10, sometimes 11. Sorry, a little after. We both live in Central Time Zone. Don't judge me.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah. We live in.
It's still hard for me to say Eastern stuff. I'm like, my time zone.
That's all right. I make fun of it all the time on the afternoon show because when I'm doing like it's almost 5 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm like, and if you live in God's time zone, you got about 2 hours till you're off work. And if you live on the West Coast, why the hell haven't you moved yet? And Mountain, nobody cares.
Well, those in the mountains don't care either because they got the mountains.
I know, right? But yeah, no. But so it's been an interesting day. How are things? How have things been for you? How are things in your world?
Things are pretty good in my world. We've had our first full week of like nothing summer. And by nothing, I mean, we've done lots of things, but like we didn't have a camp and I didn't have, party of some sort obligation or anything like that. So it's just been my kid and my niece and my cousin's kid that is Bug's age and they're little besties. She's a girl. And they play girl games and they play boy games and they play everything together and it's amazing. And so she's been with us all week, even though they live just outside of Austin, but he had to work all week and he didn't have off. So she just came and she's been staying and staying and staying. So we spent a lot of time in the pool and just laughing and having fun, which is nice to be able to do. It was kind of a staycation of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed because you were talking about how they were going to be doing lots of fun things, and then I saw some rando come on and try to give you crap over the nicknames the kids have, and I'm like, what the
Oh my gosh, how rude.
I mean,
how ridiculous.
Can we not just realize that, people have nicknames for children, and it doesn't always mean sinister shit?
It was so weird because it was this obscure child's therapy clinic in Fort Worth that then actually, once I did look at and research, basically this person just thinks all therapy is bad. So you're liberal and you're like indoctrinating your kid. Turns out I go to look at it and I end up knowing someone who has actually donated to them and has known someone on their board. And what they really focus, and they are called Bug and Bee. And what they really focus on though is like children they're not just trying to like have child's therapy. It's for kids that have gone through some sort of, expressed trauma, like a major abuse, or even something scary, like a terrible car accident or something. And it really is to like help rebuild their confidence and make them feel safe and all of that. It's not gender care. It's not, any of that crap. It's like, seems to be and also like for parents and children and siblings, especially of children with disability or autism diagnosis, which I think is not even close to a bad thing on this planet, to help them be able to learn the tools and adjust to how to deal with things like that. Because like my cousin's kid, her oldest is a few years younger than Bug, but then her youngest is a few years younger than them. And he's verbal, but he's still, mid-range on the autism scale. He's in the 7-year-old range and acts more like a toddler in a lot of ways. And he's in a lot of occupational therapy and stuff like that. And he has a great school and a great support system, but it's really hard on his older brother because so much of the focus is on the kid that has the special needs and really needs obviously the extra attention and everything. And he understands it and he's totally great about it. But there are a lot of things that he doesn't really get to kind of experience the same way that you would if you had a sibling that didn't have special needs, or a parent, or your parents weren't having to deal with all of that. And this place helps people with those things. And what could be so bad about that? But apparently it's just terrible. It's liberal indoctrination, and I'm a horrible person for sending my kids there, which I don't, because I'd never heard of it before, because their names are Bug and Bee, not because they go to therapy.
I was just like reading this thing. I was like, do you have any idea where those nicknames came from? And why? I'm like, dude, it's a place that helps kids with trauma.
I even posted like screenshots of me calling him Bug and her Bee from as far back as he was like 2 years old, and her being, since she was born a couple years ago, and that's what I call them online. And he was like, "You're just digging your hole deeper." And I'm like, "For what?" He's like, keep sending your kids there. You deserve it. You're ruining their lives, and you should go to jail. And I was like, I'm not sending them anywhere. What is wrong with you? And I thought it might be one of those people that's just a troll to troll and does this kind of nonsensical crap to lots of people to just get their kicks.
Yeah.
But I went through his feed, and he's definitely like a troll. Like, he comments on all kinds of posts, and he's very like libtard, blah, 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 knee-jerk stuff on a lot of things. But I didn't see anything within like the 2 weeks prior where he'd gone so far down with it, like had been such a like nuisance in that way. And he had plenty of opportunity to on other posts where people replied to him. So I don't think that's really his thing. I think he got it in his head and he had a hang up about it, and then he was wrong and he was proven wrong and he couldn't let it go. So he just decided to mock everybody and demonize them. So I eventually muted him, and I told everybody, stop responding to him. Stop feeding him attention. But it was really funny for a little bit. I for the most part, I laughed. I was like, the only one here that is a complete dumbass is you. That's it. Only you.
It's just the whole thing is just weird. I just when I saw that, I was like, what the hell? But then weird kind of thing happened to me yesterday too. Like, somebody decided to be a dick to Joe Pags, and I really do like the guy. So I was I was like, hey, maybe you should, focus on making sure people actually know who you are before you start trash talking people that everybody knows. And he's like, well, if you'd bothered to have paid attention before you started responding, then you would see that I apologized to him later. I said, well, if you go back and look, I responded to him or to you almost exactly the same time he responded to you. And if you weren't such a fucking dick, it wouldn't have been hidden under show replies, and I might have actually seen it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Anyway. Oh, so...
Well, Joe Pags being in the Central Texas area, he's out of WOAI in San Antonio. We've had him on our radio waves since I was in high school. So back when his kids were still young, and he talked about them a lot. And his daughter Gabby actually is like a great singer. So she used to come on with him and sing with him. Because he always loves to do, like, especially like on Fridays, like during like drive home time, he likes to play some song, and he does parodies and stuff that are pretty great. But anyways, I was endeared to him long before any of our current politics, back when it was still, well, it was never sane, but
well, it was more sane. I guess.
Well, it wasn't, though, in some regards. That's what we kind of have a little bit of kind of that like recent history thing going on with us. It certainly is terrible, and there are certainly things, but there's a lot of this never happened until blank blank, and especially in regards to Trump. And yes, that's true for prosecutions, but for a lot of the other antics, it's just simply not true. It absolutely happened to Bush like crazy. And like, I mean, to the point of where, like, if I said anything, if I uttered his name or any sort of defense of him on a college campus, it was, unleash the dragons and you bigot, you homophobic, all the names that we get called under MAGA too. I mean, it was very similar. There were different things also, and there's more a little bit here and less a little bit there, but that's why it's laughable. And we remember the way that they treated Romney, and we remember, like, it's laughable that they act like, I mean the left or Dems, act like, well, this is the worst. They've treated every damn candidate we've ever had as the worst. Hair on fire, they're Hitler, the world will end, America is over if your candidate gets to be in office. The women will go back to not being able to vote. The blacks will go back to slavery. They've said that every time for at least 30 fucking years. They've just had a hyper kind of thing going, and we have more media now, so that's another thing. We've got a lot more media to cover it on all the time than we did, than we did previous to Obama, because we got some golden years there of not having, we were attacked all the time, but we didn't have a candidate that was at the helm of being attacked all the time for years on end, because Obama was 4-year president and a shoo-in for the second term. So we were fighting against them, but we weren't the ones that had to we weren't the ones that were in power or about to be able to possibly get power, which drives them crazy and scares them to death, to kind of have the reactions. We had a little bit of a hiatus on those reactions for a while. So, it's the same old. What's old is new again, and what's new is old.
I mean, that's pretty much the way life is. Everything old is new again, and this has all happened before, and it will all happen again. It's kind of,
yep.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of, Joe Biden basically paralyzed. Well, sort of.
Well, he's kind of paralyzed.
Plagiarized two of Reagan's most monumental lines today, which I thought was kind of funny. I mean,
again?
Yeah, again. He's been putting it out in a tweet all day, and he said it today too. It was freaking hilarious.
Oh,
it's like,
that guy.
It's gone out from the account like 5-6 times today, I think. Hang on, I actually responded to one of them. I got to go find it. But yeah, first thing I thought of was like, dude, you're like stealing Reagan's shtick, bro. He's dead, but he can still kick your ass. I'm just like, what the hell? Why? But yeah, so hang on, I'm trying to find it.
So, this is from the. He did get run out of a presidential election for actual plagiarism. So,
well, yeah. So
they just decided it didn't matter anymore. 30 years later, 40 years later.
So
actually.
the most recent time it was put out was 3 hours ago. So it's not a complete plagiarism, but there's a definite Reagan tone to it. Democracy is never guaranteed. Every generation must preserve it, defend it, and fight for it. President Joe Biden. More like President Ronnie Reagan, you asshole. I'm just saying. Yes,
he doesn't have an original bone in his body.
I'm starting to think he doesn't have an original brain cell. I don't know where they all came from. I don't know how many he's got left, but I'm starting to think they were never his anyway. But yeah, I was just laughing my ass off with that. So I actually responded to it, and I'm like, Joe, plagiarizing again. I see LMAO, and then found a picture of Reagan just busting up laughing.
Yep. Oh boy. It's been. I hate that these anniversaries get overshadowed by, and I didn't like it. I don't like it really when it gets to be made about any president or any world leader. Like, I almost wish that they just showed up at these things. They were invited guests and they sat on the front row and they saluted and they took their photo ops, but they didn't actually have much to do with them, because I think it overshadows the occasion. I think it overshadows the solemnness, the honoring of those that gave their lives, those that are still with us, that served. I don't know. It's just in the day and age of all of this hoopla and media coverage and everything, it just feels a little disingenuous to continuously have our presidents, other world leaders get all of, and then other leaders within our own governments, within those governments underneath the president, continuing to speak and have time. I'd rather hear from the children of veterans, or maybe them themselves, whoever's still alive. I'd rather hear from people that knew them and served with them post the war, if they didn't serve with them in the war because they were younger, things like that. Like, it's just, I don't know. it's just starting to not feel very reverent.
Well, I think that's partly by design, though, because they don't really want us to feel reverent about these kind of things anymore. But I guess for me, what irritated me, and I actually said this earlier today, after watching Joe Biden and the different things that happened during that event, like him having to basically, steady himself on the French leader, him trying to sit down to a chair that either wasn't there or was off frame, and it literally...
It was there. It actually, the full clip, and I'm kind of annoyed with raw alerts and some of those that first put that out because they cut it in a purposeful way, and I hate it when the left does that shit. So I'm gonna call it out when people on our side do. When you see the full clip, Lloyd Austin is being introduced to get up to speak, and the chair, it's a depth perception thing. There's kind of an illusion. The chairs are right there, and he is trying to sit down prematurely, mind you. He definitely is sitting down too soon, but he is trying to sit down. Jill kind of says something to him behind her hand, probably so that they can't see. And then she goes ahead and helps him and sits down with him, and the Macrons follow suit immediately. And of course, then the applause dies for the speaker, which is Lloyd Austin, and so everyone's gonna sit anyways. He just started sitting too soon. He's like, "Nope, I'm done. I have no brain." But it sucks that I don't like bullshit. Like I don't like it when that happens. And so it was made to look like he was shitting himself, and it did look like that until you see the next 10 seconds, which was available, that they just chose not to push. And then of course it went viral. And so it really was there, but it was so hard to see because they were dark gray chairs, but up against the suits and background of the military behind them. It was just very difficult to see until I mean, even when she started to sit down with him, I was like, "Oh, there are chairs there." When I finally saw the full clip, like that was very difficult to see.
Well, no, and I actually kind of suspected, because the weird thing is I put out something about it around the same time that somebody else did, and then it started coming out that there was actually a chair behind him, and I'm still none of this really looks good either way. I think the most disturbing clip for me wasn't even that one. It was when he gets out of the motorcade and just looks around like he has no freaking clue where he is, no freaking clue who anybody is, and he's just waiting for somebody to come get him. And I'm just like, our enemies are laughing at us right now.
He didn't know where he was, and just like, I don't know, it was also where she swoops him off stage pretty quickly, and I mean, out of there pretty quickly, and doesn't let him stay to shake hands with the veterans, and it did seem like the French president was also kind of confused by it. Like he kind of went to go after him, like, wait, what? We're not done. And then someone called his name or whatever, and he turned around and ran back over and started shaking hands with the different vets and officials and stuff. But she definitely took him straight off, and I think, that speaks volumes, way more than the chair thing. I think that is just absolutely evident that, like, he's barely shuffling along as it is, and he looked like a puppy on a leash. Like she just steered him this way, and he just followed right along. Well, maybe a well-trained puppy, not a wild puppy. But it was, to me, that was more concerning than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying when you think about it. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing is, and we talked about this a little bit last week, because this was the day the verdict came out last week. But the biggest thing to me is that we live in a completely different America now. I mean, now I just read something that, because everybody's like, oh no, it's just about Trump. No, now there are state attorney generals going after his attorneys and his aides. Yeah.
Which arguably is still about Trump because they want to hurt him however they can. But they're going down list for sure. In an effort to really stick it to him and anybody. And it's a warning shot too. I think it's abandon him now or this will happen to you too kind of deal. And I do think that there are a lot of people that were involved with him, including some that did end up, testifying or confessing or whatever, that had some knowledge of some of the, kind of corrupt ways or things that maybe weren't above board really, but hasn't really been tested on whether that's okay or not for a president, because we've just kind of left presidents alone for so long with stuff. And maybe that's our bad. We should have been maybe doing this shit all along. We shouldn't have let them get away with so much shit for so long, probably. That's probably our fault as a republic, that we've not held them accountable in a lot of ways. And I'm not talking about the whole, oh my God, war crime for every time that we send a drone or shoot a rocket, but or even patrol an area overseas. But maybe that's, I do think that may have been a failure of ours overall, that but it hasn't been done. And so I do think it's a little bit of a, with intimidating the people that were surrounding him before, to say, okay, yes, he did try to do this, or he at least mentioned this. I know that he was asking about this or whatever, which those in and of themselves are not crimes, but it does, for what they're trying to witch hunt for, it gives them leverage, right? It gives them something to go on, to go, okay, we'll see here, where there's smoke, there's fire, even if nothing ever happened. They want just his actions of speech, which we know from the whole quid pro quo and the impeachment, his actions that are speech to be now criminal, which is a whole nother fucking ridiculous thing. But I think that, it is kind of a like, look, so even if he does win, he shouldn't be able to really get anybody so that he can't accomplish anything, which I don't think they have much of a problem there. I think he'll be able to hold the line on some things. I don't think he's going to get much accomplished when he's in office, just by mere fact of being, a second term, albeit intermittent, but a second term president that tends to be a little bit more lame dunk, with a Congress that's likely not going to be in his favor. So I think it's premature for them to be that. But I do think it is kind of a like, don't work for him, don't work with him, don't support him kind of deal to the rest of the political world. And I don't mean the voters. I mean the political class. And that's fucked up.
Well, I mean, so this is the thing, right? And this is what drives me absolutely crazy. And I actually wrote a piece about this that's going to come out later tonight, because Joe Walsh has yet again told everyone why he is voting for Joe Biden to save the rule of law and to save democracy. And I'm like, Joe, did you pay attention to anything that just happened within the last week? This guy knows absolutely nothing about the rule of law. And I'm just like, so just to be clear, you're voting for the guy who told us the other guy was going to be a was going to be a dictator and never leave, and will be a dictator and never leave again, even though he left the first time, and really didn't do that much dictatory kind of stuff. However, your guy is doing an in-run around Congress, regarding a lot of things, doing an in-run around SCOTUS, and has just passed border reforms that he said he couldn't do in the first place, that, by the way, haven't accomplished a damn thing. Whatever that was that he's trying to do to take as a victory lap, because I'm going to close the border since nobody else will, there were still 4,000 crossings yesterday. And there were just as many today. So whatever he's doing, it didn't do anything. It's a Band-Aid on an artery wound, and I keep trying to tell everybody that. It's no different than the crap that my very own Senator, James Lankford, was stupid enough to try to push. Well, we're going to fix the border, by God. No, you're not. You're going to redress everything and make it look like it's something to fix the border when it's actually blanket amnesty. And that's all that was. And I couldn't even get people in my own state to understand it. I'm like, did you read the thing? Did you actually read it? Did you pay attention to all the fine print? Like the fact that even if an emergency is declared because the threshold is reached, one, it's a temporary emergency and can't be declared again after it's declared the first time. Two, all that does is stop them from being able to cross anywhere but points of entry. So it doesn't actually ever close anything. I had guys here locally that do talk shows that were arguing with me on the phone, and I'm like, no, dude, this is trash. And they're like, well, if this wasn't an election year, it would have been something that they did. And I'm like, and that's supposed to make it better? Because it was trash. The whole bill was a joke. And the fact that it just, and I credit DeSantis and your governor, because if they hadn't started shipping migrants north, the rest of the country would have never known how bad it was, which is why the left.
Yeah, I was tuned in for about 30 minutes earlier today of your show, and I caught that part when you were talking about DeSantis and Abbott and the efforts that they took, and then the lead that was, I mean, it was really the example that was set and that really blew it up nationally. It really exposed.
I mean, and
how dire the crisis was, and it put it put people's money. It put state governors, city mayors, sanctuary cities. It made them put their money where their fucking mouth is.
And now they're realizing they don't actually have the money that they thought they did. So half of them don't even want to be sanctuary cities and states anymore. But they feel like
well,
they're
it's
stuck.
not fair. We're not equipped. We don't get on like McAllen, Texas is. Do you know how much the government gives them to deal with that? Not nearly enough to what they get swamped with and all the bullshit they have to deal with and all of the social services that are completely inundated with these immigrants. And, that's not even mentioning the crime, the pressure it puts on the schools. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're like, no, but like, we like brown people. Just keep them down there where they belong. It's gross. It's freaking gross.
Well, interesting things are happening, though, because of moves from DeSantis and Abbott, and now a few other governors that have started doing it in smaller fashion but haven't made the news coverage. You now have Chicago and people of color, black people in Chicago, pushing to turn Chicago City Council red because of all the BS. You've now got, and granted, dude is like 86 years old and I guess since we are on the stream, they didn't hear the disclaimer. So this show will contain coarse language in case you're tuning in on the stream, because I see we've got lots of people there. I know that's a little bit the cart before the kind of backwards because we've already dropped a few, but just to make sure we've covered everything, there will be coarse language. But yeah, so you've got this 86-year-old African American gentleman who has zero fucks left to give, who just did an interview, and he's one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party, talking about how he and a lot of the people that he knows plan on voting for Donald Trump because the media has lied about him for the last 6, 7, 8 years. He's like, I have known him since he was in college. I was there when Jesse Jackson gave him an award for helping African American communities. He donated to our party. He helped us when we needed it. And I'm tired of the media giving the man so much shit. I'm like, where were you like 4 years ago, for one?
Yeah.
But for two, I'm glad you finally reached the point where you're ready to say something. I mean, because look, and I'm just being completely honest. I did not want a rematch between the Cauliflower and Chief and Lord Spraytan. We had a better option. We didn't get there. So now we have to play with the team that we have available. And at this point, Biden's going to kill us. I don't even... If by some miracle, and it will be a miracle, and it will involve lots of cheating and probably a lockdown again, because they're already floating bird flu because they've had a death in Mexico from bird flu, and now you got Burks talking about how we need to be testing every cow and every dairy worker, and we have the capability to do it. Blah 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 blah. Like, dude, shut up. But so
I was like, do you know how many cows there are in America?
There are more cows in America than there are people. Let's just be honest, because we eat lots of beef in this country.
It's not quite that much, but it's a staggering amount, like a staggering amount. For you to think that we could incur the cost of testing them weekly. I mean, that's just ludicrous beyond all. It's insane.
But yeah, so this is one of the same people that was behind all the COVID BS, and now she's like, oh, we got to watch out for the bird flu because now it's transmitting to people and we need to do this and we need to do that. And I'm like, no, we don't. And the one thing that I'm really happy about, and this came out today, my governor just signed a bill into law that allows the entire state of Oklahoma to give the WHO a double barrel middle finger. Thank you so much, Kevin Stitt. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because, and I said this today too, I know Jesse Kelly was probably one of the first people that I ever started hearing talking about how we needed a national divorce. And I have to admit, when he first started talking about it, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. And now, several years later, I've realized we're kind of already in the middle of one. It just hasn't gone to court yet.
sorry. I just got a thing from someone that I've unexpectedly, and I have my notifications turned off, but somehow it was still dinging, and so I was trying to mute and go, don't let that come up.
I was going to say we couldn't hear it anyway. So
Okay, good. Okay, good. I was like, mute, stop, no, don't. I mean, I mostly have my phone on silent, but there's a couple of things that like I need to be notified of regarding some family stuff or whatever, but I didn't think that would happen. Anyways, sorry about it.
No, you're all good. But yeah, anyway, I lost where I was now.
I'm sorry.
So like, normally I can hang on to things better, but I'm pretty tired. Oh, so just for fun, I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing yet, but there's an AI program called Sonos that kind of lets you make songs. So just for fun, I told it to make a rockabilly song about Jen and Rick that do a talk show at night. So just for fun, we're gonna play that real quick. I haven't even heard it yet, so it may suck. I don't know. There's 2 versions though, so we'll see which one's better.
Jen and Rick burning up the night. Talk show magic in the neon lights. Coffee cups and radio waves. Keep the stories and never keep paid. Midnight hours hit like a train. Crazy callers spinning their pain. Laughing off like the last dance. 2 rebels in a spectral trance. Jen and Rick talking to the...
Sorry for those of you on the stream. I just realized you couldn't hear it, so I fixed that.
Tales and restless souls living for the night on the talk show roll. Phones ringing like a siren song. Chaos crew singing all night long. Jazz lifts in the spoken word. Every story gotta be heard.
Okay, not exactly what I expected. I tried another one, and then it tried to say we were doing a morning show. I was like, yeah, so I tried to add night in there, and it just didn't. Then it made it really late, and I'm like, no, that didn't really work either. But anyway, so if you guys haven't checked that out yet, apparently it's free. I don't know how many songs it lets you do. I've been playing with it now for like 30 minutes or so, and the interesting thing is, whatever you tell it, it spits out 2 different versions, so you can kind of pick the one that you like. So far, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and it hasn't said, hey, you can't do any more yet, so I don't know.
I think it's like the different like AIs, like Bing AI and like some of those where it probably gives you like a certain number depending on how far they're spread out, and then you have to wait and it will like replenish and then you get more. That's typically how these things have gone.
Yeah, I know. I haven't really played with the AI stuff much, but because I've been feeling kind of sad about not having the Ramblers anymore. We may have an AI version soon. I'm gonna start seeing how much detail I can give it and see what it'll spit out.
I had an AI anime style figurine made of me.
Oh, nice.
It's in a I still have it. It was a few months ago. And I'm in like a Texas shirt, cooking something in a cast iron skillet.
That was not
with
the button I meant to press.
What?
Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, but it's like me in a Texas shirt, of course, with cooking something in holding a cast iron skillet, and then a glass of red wine. And I was like, perfect. That's me.
That's pretty spot. That's I mean, it's not complete. I don't know, but did you say cat?
Do what?
Did you say something about a cat? That's about the only thing.
No.
I was like, did you say
a cast iron skillet?
Cat? Okay, that's what I misheard. I was like, cat.
Yeah,
and
you know, because I cook in them often, but they're also a great weapon.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of having one.
Wallop you upside the head with it if I want.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of having one. That's what my ex-wife used to tell me. I can either cook in it or I can kill you with it. Which one do you want? I'm like, I prefer cooking. Same.
Two of mine sit on the stove on a daily basis, so which is pretty close to my patio door. So if someone wants to come in there while I'm in the kitchen, they're getting whacked in the head with a cast iron.
Dun, 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 dun.
You know, I won't be mad about it.
So violent. How did I ask a question about a cat and suddenly it's all violent up in here? I'm like, what the hell?
I'm just saying they're dual use. You know, dual use.
Anyway.
For every good Southern woman, gotta have one of those. Oh man. Oh, did you see that? What's her face? Oh, Brianna. What's her nuts? Horribly racist.
You're not talking about. The only Brianna I can think of is Brianna Wu. I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not.
No. Brianna Joy. Shoot, what's her last name? Why can't I think of it right now? Right when it's coming up. Oh, yeah. Brianna Joy Gray. She had worked at the Hill and she got fired. She's like,
oh, I know who you're talking
you
about.
would recognize her if you saw her profile and stuff. Like, she's horrifically racist and completely they continue to pretend she's an intellectual, and she's definitely not, by any stretch. And she's like one of the biggest fucking anti-Semites. She's one of those people that was on something and questioned the sibling of one of those hostages taken on October 7th. As if how do we know this is real, or that that's what they got, they're there for? Just horrifically stupid shit. And it does nothing to hide her disdain for the Jews. So, and they keep having her on these fucking panels and stuff as if she's going to be, even on some of them that are okay, let's debate whether Palestine should be a state or not, and all these kinds of things. And you've got other people up there that are at least giving, thought out arguments and citing history and all of this stuff. And she does that too, but they're just memorized. She does some of that with the history, so she just memorizes historical facts or whatever. And sometimes they're not even historical facts; they're just figures that she wants that have been perpetrated by the Howard Zenns of the world or whatever. And anyways, but she was on this one panel recently where the other two people on the panel, were at least having a pretty solid discussion. Debating the merits of, and one of them being it's been tried, they can't do it. Their purpose is to do this. And it's well, hold on. I don't know. The thing is da 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 da. So they at least were having some semblance of an intellectual debate. And she just goes on this 5-minute tirade against Israel, against the Jews, and they start to counter her, and she threw down her microphone and stormed off stage.
Well, that's because the Jews are evil, Jen, don't you know?
Well, right. She did make a reference about all that they control. Those people. I'm who you saying those people about? You're a black woman. You should know better. People have been doing that to you your whole. You actually preach about that all the time. What do you mean, you people?
It's different.
I mean,
it's
they can't. The hypocrisy is so fucking rich. It's ridiculous.
It's different when they do it, though.
Totally.
Oh, not the Valley Girl. Ugh.
I mean, I can oh my gosh, I was listening actually to this podcast today. So I've been following the Karen Reed trial.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but it's about the police officer, John O'Keefe, that was found dead in the front yard of another police officer after basically a bunch of officers had been out drinking with their wives and significant others the night before. He got dropped off for a late night party, an after party, if you will, by his girlfriend, who then left him there. She claims that she left and went home, and then at 6 a.m, he wasn't home. She freaked the fuck out, starts calling people that were at the party. They go back over there, and he's frozen in the snow, basically, in the front yard. And they're claiming that she hit him with her car, ran him over, or whatever. The evidence doesn't seem to actually follow that at all. I'm not actually clear why the prosecution thought that they could bring this case, because it's riddled with the most ridiculous reasonable doubt ever. And I'm not just talking about because there's no evidence, no footage of her actually doing this, but we're talking about 3 feet of, they don't find anything in 2 inches of snow, but 3 feet of snow later, suddenly they find all of these pieces of taillights, and they find hair on the bumper and all this stuff after it's been transported 60 miles in the snow to and back from different places. multiple officers are involved, and they're all friends and with the investigating officers. Their kids have been ring bearers in each other's weddings, and they weren't isolated to be questioned. They all got to do like groupthink as stuff was happening. The owners of the house, which was a police officer and his wife, while everything was happening, the guy is dead in his yard, and they've taped off the scene, and they're taking him to the hospital to see if they can revive him. They never come out of the house, never speak with police until days later. Like, it's all sorts of weird shit. And they've changed testimony. They said one thing in the grand jury, one thing on the stand. I mean, it's just this crazy, crazy case. But I'm following along with it and everything, and I listened to a couple, different analysis, like recap stuff. And this girl has a pretty good podcast where she covers a lot of like ongoing trials and stuff, all the kind of big popular ones. And so she'll do like recaps of each of them, and then she'll go in depth with some of them. She'll interview people involved that, as allowed, other attorneys and legal experts on the subjects. And she has in order to kind of talk about all things craziness, because y'all remember Dirty John? That ended up being like a movie, and Dateline did a whole podcast on it. And it was this crazy guy that ended up being killed by his wife's daughter, his stepdaughter, because he attacked her in her apartment parking lot. She's on, and it's like 10 years after the fact, and she's talking about how victims' families can be affected, and how those that were affected by, like, were abused by the person who's now the victim because they're dead, how they're affected. So she's talking about all these things, and it's kind of after they've done this Karen Reed recap. So I'm just still listening. And she was like 24, 25 at the time of the incident. She's almost 35 now. And she goes on all these speaking circuit, and she's a victim's advocate for abuse and domestic abuse or domestic violence and like all of this stuff. And she's rattling off all the things that she does and the people that she, like the organizations she's spokespersons for. And as she's talking, and really once she does her little spiel and the girl starts asking her questions and truly interviewing her, she's like, and so it's like, and it was fucking unlistenable. I was like, how are you getting paid to speak anywhere? What is going on? Like, we want to hear your story. That it's crazy and it's psycho. And like, of course, the TV movie left some stuff out, and like even the podcast that the Dateline 5-episode Dateline or whatever it was left some stuff out, and it's documentary style, and they interviewed all of you. But everything went up with like this inflection, and like, and so yeah. And I was just like, I could not stand it. I could not believe it. It was ridiculous. Like I said, it was unlistenable. And I'm like, if you wrote something without all that bullshit in it, I would totally read it, because it's extremely interesting, and the psyche of it, and like what she was thinking during the attack and all of that. But I couldn't listen to her damn fucking voice and inflections. And she is from the OC. So there's that.
Dun, dun, dun.
But definitely look up the Karen Reed case. It's fucking nuts.
Fucking nuts. Nice.
It really is. It's insane. It's not like, there's not like one little bit of reasonable doubt. There's like 25 extremely questionable, obvious things. And you're like, wait, what? Everybody had an accidental butt dial in the exact time period where they think that he died. And none of them are being looked at as anything. They're just witnesses that didn't know and weren't there and didn't have anything to do with it. But they all happen to accidentally butt dial each other in 2 and 3 minute successions. Sure. Okay. Not Karen Reed, mind you. All these people that were at the house party he was at.
Oh.
Oh, no, that was just a butt dial. They're like, how often do you butt dial on your iPhone? Well, I don't know. Including butt dialing him 7 times. You know what that says? They're trying to find his fucking phone. He's already dead in the snow, and they're trying to find his fucking phone when they butt dial him 7 times in the 5-minute window they think he died.
Yeah,
But
I
that was
mean
just
that's kind of obvious, though.
that was just a butt dial. That was just a butt dial. Never went to voicemail because I realized it before that. But 7 times in that short window, I butt dialed him. But I was, by the way, not still up and at the party or drinking. I was already home and in bed. But I butt dialed it. I rolled over on my phone and it just kept calling him. And I kept cutting off before voicemail because it's just, I mean, it happens a lot. But also I dumped my phone and had it destroyed. Not just got rid of it, but like had it destroyed the day before my phone was subpoenaed for records.
Yeah, that's
And
not, that's not shady
and
at
all of my family's.
Yeah, that's not shady at all.
Yeah. And we're all police officers and we already got the heads up that they know we got the heads up that we were going to have the subpoena to turn over our phones. But we still did that anyway, because what did it matter? I mean, you can still pull some of our stuff from the cloud, anything that was relevant. You didn't need the actual phone. Fucking crazy, man. Anyways.
Very nice.
Don't go on and talk like this, okay? Just don't.
That makes my head hurt.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's also have the same issue with people that come on air and then are like, okay,
Wait,
sorry, lady, missed lunch.
I don't mean
What?
to backtrack, but I think I may have just figured out who you were talking about. You're not talking about Brianna Joy Gray, are you?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I finally got a Brianna Joy Gray.
Oh.
And she worked at the Hill. She got fired.
I just happened to notice there's a tweet going around. Somebody screen capped her saying she can't be fired. Like, this didn't age well. Sorry, I didn't. I remembered you said Brianna Joy. I never heard you say that you'd figured out what her last name was. I missed that part. But anyway. So
Yeah. Sorry, I just blanked on it, but then I found out. I said, yeah, Brianna Joy Gray. Yeah, she got fired from the Hill, and she was boohooing about it for a minute, but then she deleted the tweet and then started posting her Patreon.
So this was literally the hill her career died on. Good enough.
The Hill it died on.
Oh, dad jokes on talk radio. How can you get any better than that?
Well, I got to say congrats to your Sooners. Y'all just won the Women's College World Series in softball.
I actually wasn't keeping up with it that much this year. But yeah, I saw that we won yesterday. I didn't really pay much attention other than that.
I mean, it's 98. I mean, it's 16 minutes. No, it's 26 minutes from their home field, and it's a 98% OU crowd. So they should fucking win every time they play there.
I mean, they should.
It's insanity.
But yeah, I mean, congrats to the Sooner softball team because yeah, that's 4 times in a row. I think
it is. It's 4.
That just seems crazy.
Oh no! Don't do that though.
What?
Oh, just one of the girls being an Angel Reese a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, that's right. Because we like doing this like really kind of ghetto FU thing. I always hate that. Cheer for yourself, support yourself, but don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Which, by the way, you saw Angel Reese got ejected last night. She pissed off the wrong ref.
Nice.
And I love how she came out this week and said that, it's just one. It ain't about one girl. They watching me too. And then it's like, but the only reason you're even thinking to say that is because that person is getting the coverage and you're being asked questions about her. And so you have to interject and say, no, it's about me too. Well, no, it's not. Sorry about it, but it's a Caitlin Clark show. And you know what, and I get it. There's pettiness and jealousy and all of that, but they should all be, but they are hazing her big time. And they are, there's a lot of the vets that really hate her. And I know that is a lot of bitter jealousy. And I get it to a certain extent. It's like, well, wait, what the fuck? We've been doing this all this time, but this is how it happens. And they should be glad because the WNBA's, viewership has increased a lot and it's maintained for several months now because of this. So if it's turning a corner for the exposure of women's basketball and those that really like it and the little girls that want to see it and have more games on TV and all that kind of stuff and actually produce some revenue that's going to better help them be able to support themselves better and get more coverage and sustain themselves better, then fantastic. They should all be for it. And a couple vets that have come out and said that have absolutely been slaughtered on social media. And then everybody goes, yeah, I don't know why they're hating on Caitlyn so bad. I'm like, you know why? You know why? She is a straight white girl from Iowa kicking their ass.
Yeah, and they don't like it. All right.
She's not even in the lesbian club. So that's one more strike against her,
That's already at least 2.
She goes to church. I mean, it's just she's got all the strikes.
Wait. she's white. She's from
straight.
Yeah, she's straight and she goes to church. Yes, no wonder they hate her. All right.
And she's from flyover country.
All right, so we are just about out of time. There's one other thing that I wanted to let you hear because Cal did something that was pretty cool earlier. I don't know if you've heard it yet. Same program I was playing with, but we're gonna probably go out with this and then roll straight into the intro because we're just about out of time anyway. So before I hit this button, why don't you tell folks where they can find you because they know where to find me by now, and if they don't need to look for me.
Jay Homestead and Misfits Politics. Come hang out.
It's funny that you're talking in this tone of voice with what I'm about to play, but here we go.
Flex in his truck, big wheels grinding, conservative mind ain't hiding. Hates them liberals, likes to cuss, drinking moonshine, raising fuss. Rex with his crew, them misfits loud, beer in hand, they stand so proud. Barbecue smoke fills the night, country tunes feeling right. Rex and the misfits, here we go. Swearing loud, putting on a show. Drinking midnight till the dawn. Life's a party, cares all gone. Them liberals, they just don't see. Rex yelling, this land is free. Freedom strong in this old town. Flag waving, never down. Move to the beat of a dirty sound. Whiskey voices loud from the mouth. Rex and misfits know the way. Living life, it's play by play. Rex and the misfits, here we go. Swearing loud, putting on a show. Drinking midnight till the dawn. Life's a party, cares all gone. Yeah, all gone. Them liberals, they just don't see. Rex yelling, this land is free. Freedom strong in this old town. Flag waving, never down. Rex and the misfits, here we go. Swearing loud, putting on a show. Drinking midnight till the dawn. Life's a party, cares all gone. Yeah, I'm gone. Move to the beat of the dirty south. Wind scare voices loud from the man it's clear. Freedom strong in this old town. Flag waving, never down. Yeah. Oh.
I thought you might get a kick out of that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Speaking of which, tell them about tomorrow night before you forget again.
Oh yeah, Misfits. Wow. Okay. Over at Misfits Politics on Twitter. Hashtag Misfit Mischief. We'll kick it off with a lot of fun, mostly non-political. So make Twitter, make X, make social media, whatever the hell you want to say. Make it fun again. We intend to, and we have a great time every Friday night.
All right, and if you are so inclined, make sure you make it a 2-screen night. I'll be back tomorrow night with Aggie Rican filling in for the incomparable Mickey Blowtorch, who is still on hiatus and also recently married, so he's been a little busy. And that's 8:30 tomorrow night Eastern Time, 7:30, otherwise known as Aggie Time. Then I'll be back Saturday night doing Juxtaposition with Orty. Back Sunday night doing the America Off the Rails show. Both of those are 10 p.m. Eastern, one Saturday, one Sunday. Also back tomorrow afternoon doing the Rick Robinson show, and then that starts over again next Tuesday. I'll be off Monday because I usually try to take at least one day off a month. I know. Anyway, but on that note, that's pretty much everything, other than you can find me on Twitchy, occasionally on Misfits Politics. Also, I'm the executive producer for the Loftus Party podcast, which usually drops on Tuesdays, and a contributor over there at theloftusparty.com. If you need more of me than that, and let's face it, if you do, you need therapy, then you can always find me on most social media platforms at RowdyRick73. But we gotta go, because I got one more story I gotta get done before I can go to bed. Bye, everybody.
Bye.